the Ukrainians were using some sort of fake message to the North Korean soldiers from Kim Jong-un, telling them to betray the Russians and massacre them.
Really?
And look, we have a hard time picking out AI. Can you imagine the hard time a North Korean soldier has?
Right?
Yeah.
Oh,
I saw
man.
something like in that same vein of the North Koreans that like a lot of Russian soldiers apparently were getting annoyed because North Koreans got into Russia and immediately had the first ever ability to access pornography in their entire life. And they'd be like, boys, you know, you are here for a war. And they're like, not anymore. Like, I am now here to jack off in the
They're
woods.
losing. Ukraine is taking territory back in Russia. Like they're expanding the amount of land that they own, which it never seems to go that way. Like they get a bunch of land in one shot and then they're just crippling, like contract. But now they're actually gaining Russian territory, not Ukrainian territory, which I wish they were gaining, but it's a bargaining chip.
I saw the North Korean.
Yes.
Like that means it's better. Yeah.
I saw a Russian. He had a can of North Korean food that had came along with the soldiers, and he's like speaking in Russian with a translator, and he's like, we don't read Korean, so we had to find a translate, and you know what is this? Is dog. Is dog. Throws it on the ground and kicks it. It's dog. And it's like going on this fucking rant. He's like, I know eat dog. And I'm thinking, like, I'm with you, buddy. I know eat dog either.
Dude, I can imagine the Russian soldiers and the North Koreans not getting along great.
Like, all I know about North Koreans.
Those are wildly different cultures.
Have you seen those YouTube videos of North Koreans being exposed to Western culture and Western information for the first time? They're fascinating. They're so fun.
Many years ago, but I've seen a couple.
There's a couple of big channels. One of the better ones does food. They'll take them to like a Texas barbecue, and they'll give this North Korean like a full like Texas barbecue of like brisket and ribs and pulled pork and like 8 sides. And they're like, this is more food than I have ever seen. And you know they have a meltdown eating all the food. Or they'll show them like top 10 U.S. weapons. That I love that one. They showed these North Korean soldiers had defected. And, you know, they've been told their whole life that their like World War II tank is like cutting edge. They're like, this tank that we've given to you is the best tank. The Americans will be destroyed. You will be like the side and they will be the wheat when you are in this World War II tank that's a piece of shit. And they believed it because they ain't never seen no other shit. And then they play them like this montage, like that's like Call of Duty of AC-130s and all sorts of laser guided shit. And there's like, these are truly weapons that we cannot fathom. It's so fun to watch them like react to that shit.
Do they not have Company of Heroes 2 in Russia? Because if they did, they would have learned that even in World War II, you know, they were going for total numbers a lot in Russia.
No, this is North Koreans that have defected and now they're being exposed to Western culture for the first time. They have no idea. Like seeing them eat McDonald's is fun. Or they also saw one where they've got these Afghani tribesmen who probably those guys definitely rape little boys, by the way. That's their deal over there. They love that stuff.
No culture is better than another, Kyle.
I'm not ranking. I'm just pointing out some of the features of theirs.
I'll rank. We win.
I agree with you, Woody. I mean, ours doesn't even have boy rape in it as an accepted sort of. What do they call them? T-boys? I think they call them T-boys. Something like that. Yeah. They you know, if you're like a 12-year-old effeminate boy over there in Afghanistan, you're going to be a T-boy. They brag about their harems of little boys. Like it's a sign of status. Like, yeah, I got these horses, I got these camels, I got this car, I got like 4 T-boys over here.
I insert myself in here and it's like I'd have been a T-boy till I was like 17.
Oh, you'd have been T-boy for life. You'd
so
be a T-man.
when we were in Afghanistan, like sometimes our military was like making alliances with those guys and being like, yeah, you just tell us what you're doing and, you know, we'll stay out of your business.
No, not that. No, we guarded their opium crop while they raped children with our lives and blood. We died protecting their drug crops
while they're in there being pedophiles. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You Coming off as judgmental.
Do you see the Russians were paying the Taliban $200,000 for every American attack?
Say that again.
The Russians were paying the Taliban $200,000 for every attack on the Americans during the war.
Our allies
in
Russia.
Yeah,
Russia?
I'm just.
Or Taliban.
I feel like people don't look at Russia as the enemy. Like,
oh, absolutely. I always have. I was born in '86, but I have all the media that I was intaking as a kid remembered the Cold War very well, and Russians have always been the bad guys to me. Like they are the villain in every source of media and in reality, in history, they are the bad guys. A lot of
they were on our team in World War II.
Yeah, that's to say
that ended pretty rapidly.
Yeah, we should have kept going. We should have kept going. Like
should have knocked them right out.
Churchill wanted to keep going.
I think it would have been us doing the heavy lifting on that for sure, right? Like all of Europe was largely depleted.
We were there, yeah, but we were already there. With everything, we had all of our shit there. We're ready to go.
And Russia was very weak at the time too, so it's not like they would have been sending out their, best warriors. They'd already died.
Yeah,
fighting the Germans.
Instead, we split Germany, and they took everything, east of that, and you had the Cold War for 50 years, and you have what we have now, where we've had two administrations who thought appeasement and kissing ass with Putin was the way to go. It hasn't been since George W. Bush. George W. Bush was hard on him, I thought, and but Obama and
Trump,
who came after Obama and Biden, I thought have been weak on Putin just the whole way through. But yeah, they're absolutely our enemy, 100%. They're diametrically opposed to everything that we're about. They want to weaken us from within. They hate us. For good reason.
Does Alex Ovechkin change any of that for you?
I don't even know who the fuck that is. Is that Yager's friend? Yager Markov?
The guy who's going to outscore Gretzky.
He's going to get more goals than Gretzky either this year or early next year. That's a record no one thought would ever be broken, and you're acting like that doesn't even play into your geopolitical opinions.
Yeah, Kyle.
We don't know that he's not going to be taken out by some crazed fan who's like a huge Gretzky for lifer.
Some Canadian like breaks his kneecap on the way out to the final game.
And maybe he's got like an argument. He's like, you played more games than Gretzky got to play every season. You get 14 more games. It's not fair. And he like fucking kneecaps the guy, gives him the old Tanya Harding.
Actually, who does have more goals per game?
It's probably at this point Ovechkin.
Points per game.
Because I don't. Oh, point. I mean, that's not a contest. It's not even close.
Kyle might not know that an assist counts as a point.
I do.
Yeah, Gretzky has more assists than any other player has points.
Hockey assists rack up because if you pass to a guy who passes to a guy who scores, both of you get assists.
Gretzky not even in the top 4 here.
Of games played?
Goals per game.
Oh, goals per game. Yeah, the thing with Gretzky
there should
is
probably be some asterisk there. It's probably these guys probably played like 3 games or something.
No, they still played like 80, 82, but or I think maybe 80 for a while instead of 82, which they do now. But Gretzky would just have seasons where he'd be like, you know what? I'm going to be the number 1 goal scorer by like 25 goals this year, and then he would just do
75 goals in 87 goals, and he was number one. That's crazy.
He scored 92 goals in 80 games with the Oilers in 82. Like he had this is like a fantasy level game. He had 212 points in 80 games. That means like if he went out there and got a goal and an assist, he'd be like fucking off night. Like just what a terrible.
This guy's going to break this guy's going to break one of his records.
Goals one.
Ovechkin will get more total goals. He's only like 21 away right now. And so it's neat to see someone break a record that no one ever thought would be broken, because everyone's always known that a couple of Gretzkys are truly untouchable, but this one is not. So clearly it's not. As long as like Ovechkin doesn't totally collapse, because he's like 39 and he just broke his leg. But he came back, like earlier in the season, but then he came back like 5 weeks later. And so maybe he was getting a little of the Russian gas that they give out in Russia, that like, have I talked about that before, Kyle?
You asked them?
if you listen to Spit and Chicklets, which is the hockey podcast I like, Ryan Whitney, who was a former NHL defenseman, he dealt with a lot of injuries, had to cut his career short, but he was a very good defenseman. And when he played in Russia, all the players would talk about Russian gas, which is like you'd go into the back with the trainer and he would like let you huff a bunch of stuff. And he'd be like, and dude, I'd go back there, my knee would be killing me. Right before a game, I'm in a bad mood. I'm in fucking Russia. I don't want to be in fucking Russia. I don't speak Russian. I feel so out of water. I just want to be in the NHL again. And then the doctor would hit me with this stuff. And after just a little bit, I'd be like, not only am I going to play tonight, I'm going to be the best version of me that's ever existed. I was energized. I was happy. I was in a good mood. I felt elated. And like later it came out that it was just a total Russian cocktail of drugs that they were doping these guys up on, like forms of speed, painkillers, all sorts of gas they were huffing just to get them out there and play another game.
That sounds
pretty cool.
I'm reading this article. I'm reading this article. It says, if you ever wondered how Vladdy Poots scored 8 goals in an exhibition game against professional players over in Russia, now you know. It definitely wasn't because the opposing team's players thought they'd endangered if they didn't let it happen. He would. And he goes on. We're talking about Russian gas here. I wanted to get to the bottom of like what might be in it. Maybe some stimulants or something. There's a graphic here of Captain America coming out of the pod.
It looks like Toradol is in it, which is an anti-inflammatory, some form of opiate. Can be good for your T levels.
So maybe like maybe just an anesthetic to like make them not feel pain. I remember there was this time when terrorists took over a concert hall in Russia and they pumped the whole building full of this anesthetic gas and like knocked everybody out, but it killed a bunch of them too. It killed like 15 or 20% of the people that were there. There's a couple hundred people there.
That's absurd. That would be like my plan. Why would you do that?
Terrorists?
Russia.
So like terrorists took this concert hall in Russia. This is probably like Serbians or some shit. And the Russian special forces pumped the building full of this anesthetic gas. And it knocked everybody out unconscious, I think. But it killed like maybe 20% of the hostages and everybody. Like it was just...
You want to make an omelet, you break a few eggs.
Yeah, you can't really dose the anesthetic out correctly when you're filling a building with gas.
Yeah. I mean, they're probably like, all right, well, either they kill all of them or we roll the dice. You know, we have a crazy doctor in a lab coat with, canisters of gas that he's been begging to use. Every single problem we go to Vladimir with, he's like, I have gas.
I would like to know the backstory because at some point someone went like, hey, do we still have that gas? Well, yeah, of course we still have the gas. It kills 20% of the people.
I knew this day would come. I can finally use my gas. Gas is a pretty fucked up way to kill people. Like just dropping a gas bomb during a war. That's sad. That would be awful. Getting mustard gassed in World War I.
Yeah, those gases are terrible, but this gas sounds amazing.
The Russian
had a really good time out. Yeah.
They all seem to have had a great time on the Russian gas. But, if they would have accidentally dropped Russian gas in one of those World War I trenches, we would have rolled them. Or they would have rolled them. We weren't really a huge part of that one. I guess we weren't that big of a part at all of World War I. No, we were. Yeah, we were. We were big in the big.
We won that war. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Woody. Okay. Look.
So true.
I won't have you underplaying the United States contributions to really anything, fictional or non-fictional. I won't have it. I'm sure that in some small way the United States contributed to the war against Mordor, and I won't have anyone say that they didn't. If they existed, they would have. I'm sure the United States Armed Forces would have been standing there shoulder to shoulder with Theoden.
With Gondor. Or Rohan. Either one, probably both.